and we can,
I guess just then just to call it, the meeting, to order. The first item is a public comment. If there's anybody here from the public. I don't believe so.
no, and we didn't receive any requests for comment either for the original meeting or for this one.
Then the next item is approval of meeting minutes. If there's a motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 3rd.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a
Sheila.
second? Is there a second? All in favor?
And Bob Barrow, Town of Cheshire, second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 I guess, Rich, one thing I didn't do is, do you need a roll call? See who's here, or you, I saw you.
At the moment, actually, I'm okay because everybody is called in with through the computer, so I have names for everyone.
Why don't you just read off who's here so that we know, everybody else knows who's on the call.
Yeah, we can do that. So we have Sheila from the city of Ansonia. We have Ray from Bristol, Don Bombero from Cheshire, Jerry Lukowski from Southbury, and I'm sorry, from Watertown. Lou Spina.
And me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I thought I mentioned Sheila at the beginning. Yes, and Sheila from Ansonia.
Okay, just moving on, transportation planning, a LOTSIP, Mark and Karen.
Yeah, again, this is just our quick update that we want to give every time we meet. This is our snapshot of where our program sits. Again, we've been very active and aggressive since the inception of the program in 2014. We've actually, we've committed $104 million, and I think that's an incredible amount of money. We've actually completed 13 projects with a total cost of roughly 27 million. Again, over 6 years, that's a pretty impressive result. If we had done this under a federal aid program under the same 6 years, we probably would have done 1 or 2 projects, not 13. We do have 6 more under construction and 12 that are under design. And Rich, how many are expected of those under design are expected to actually proceed to construction this year? I think it's like another 5 or 6. So
we have 7 that we have listed as scheduled to go forward this year.
So again, by the end of this calendar year, which just started, it'll be in, we'll have another 18 projects pretty much in the construction stage. So that's a good amount. Go to the next slide, Rich. And of course, that aggressiveness sort of creates a little bit of an issue. This chart, again, the blue line is what money we've been allocated, and the orange is our performance in getting projects funded. This is updated through just this year, so it's pretty current. Last time we showed this, we didn't anticipate having a deficit situation as early as we're showing, but after some projects had advanced, again, we're looking to where we may have operating under a deficit situation next year. Again, we're not really that concerned about it, only because of, one, we're the first region that has gotten, even this close. We're not sure how the department's going to handle or react to this kind of a situation. But the way the LOTSIP program is handled statewide, this legislature has authorized, a block of money. They don't authorize it by region. They authorize it statewide. So there's a lot of money still that has been authorized. And the way CONDOT has worked is they request the bond commission to, actually obligate some of the funds as they need it. And my sort of guess is that they're just going to obligate the money that we need for our region because it's still within the authorization that the legislature has done. So, but it's something that we want to keep an eye on. The deficit situation would resolve itself, basically another 6 months later when our allocation is received again. So, but it's something that, we're keeping an eye on. I think next year it's not going to be too bad, but going out a couple of years, it becomes a little bit more of an issue. So, and so stay tuned. We're keeping an eye on it. The other thing we're working on is because of the new infrastructure bill that Congress passed, they increased the funding to the STBG program, which is the pot of money that comes to the regions for funding and for projects. And LOTSIP was always indexed to the STBG amount. So we're going to make the argument that they should be increasing the amount of LOTSIP money that the state is providing. However, given the fact that the legislature is looking at it statewide, and collectively the regions haven't been successful in utilizing all the money that's been authorized, it's going to be a hard sell to get the legislature to allocate more money. But again, we'll keep an eye on it. So that's pretty much it. If there are any questions.
I guess my question was almost a little bit, off topic with respect to even what you just, indicated. Lots of money is tight. Potentially the federal money coming through, by right would help that by adding to the pot. How about has the region gotten any word on the state bridge program? Because that's an existing program that my understanding is currently not active, not authorized due to lack of money, but yet the state is getting an infusion of money. You would think that the state, I'll let you go, Mark.
Yeah, correct. And I think this is a little bit of the frustration we also feel, and something just to understand that when the infrastructure bill was passed, there's a lot of excitement. Actually, Rich, I think if you want to go to the next slide, I think that goes in. No, never mind. I thought IAJA was next, but basically, there's a lot of excitement because people always hear there's a lot of money, all the programs have increased, but it's still going to take time for that money to work its way through the system and get it in the hands of the states and then the MPOs. So yes, there is an increase in infusion of money. I think bridge program is one of those where they are really, I think it's like 30 some odd % increase. So they're hoping to do a lot more projects. However, the direction from the state or comments from the state has been, well, they're just going to move projects that they have programmed, a couple of years out. They're going to move those up. So we're not quite sure how they're going to solicit, new proposals. But if you have a project that's a bridge project that's sort of in the works and into the system already, it's likely to be built sooner as opposed to later. That's basically all I can say. We'll have a better idea of funding probably in a month or so, because right now, and this is just the way Congress works, but they passed the new transportation bill as part of the infrastructure bill. However, there was a continuing resolution for FAST Act that continues till February 8th. So none of this new money is really available until one, that CR expires, and two, Congress still has to fully authorize or appropriate the money for that was authorized in the infrastructure bill. So those two things need to happen. So all I can say is stay tuned. We'll have a better idea probably in about a month.
Okay, thanks for the update.
I think that was a long-winded answer to a simple question, but it can get complicated.
Anybody else on the committee or have any comments or concerns?
And if I can just interrupt really quickly, we had Roy Kavanaugh from Waterbury join us.
Any questions or comments? So that's an update, the update guidance from Connecticut DOT.
Yeah, I can take this one on. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so there's been some updates to lots of guidelines. The biggest part was the audit process has been specified, as opposed to earlier where it was kind of a little ambiguous. So as part of your financial tracking for all lots of projects, you must adhere to the Municipal Auditing Act and the Single State Audit Act, and all municipal expenditures must be documented and sent to us before the project is completed. Everything that you need for document, you need copies of the municipal state audit, the final report of the lots of expenditures, a printout of municipal accounting systems detailing the lots of expenditures, and expenditure summary with the copies of all the invoices. And you need this for each project. You don't want to combine each lot of project together into one pile and submit to the state and us. That'll just make the process more confusing. And then during the lots of project, any unexpended funds that was not used during the project will be returned to the lots of funds so we can administer future projects with that. And additionally, during the lots of project construction, there will be quarterly status report meetings going over the financial status of the project and any other issues that may arise.
I might just add, one of the important things is sort of that second to last bullet. Those who have started constructing or have constructed a project and funded on their lots, as you know, the state gives you a check up front, for the low bid plus the 20%. Now during construction, actual costs sort of may vary. And if the project comes in under budget or you haven't fully spent the 20% additional money, that money, you need to keep that available because the state is going to want that back to go back into our program. It's just that it takes time for them to go through this whole audit process. So, I mean, it could literally be, a couple, 3 years before how much money you have to return. And, so just understand that, any unexpended money needs to be, returned back to the program at some point. So that's just one of the key things to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting that of our completed projects, none so far have been audited by the state, and hopefully their definition of this process will move some of that forward. But we do have nearly $1.5 million of unexpended granted money that will come back into the program, and so that changes that graph just a little bit.
I'd like to add just a little bit to that also, just as a reminder, if you have a project where you do have money that hasn't been spent, it's not like a free pass to just find something else on the project to spend it on. It has to be whether, it's basically stuff that was sort of, had to be done. In other words, you can't just add, some wood fencing or something just to spend the money. It has to be, something that's really necessary. And if it's something that's added onto the project after the project was, approved, then you have to contact me first and I'll clear it with the DOT. I mean, overages and things like that, that's common. That's, those kind of things aren't an issue. But if it's like a new item or something, really unexpected, then we have to get clearance.
Okay. The new projects, Todd Road Culvert project.
Yeah, so the city has asked that we postpone that until the March TTAC meeting. They just are unable to be here today.
Okay.
Or I guess the town has asked. And then actually we want to hold off on your project as well. while the state reviews it in case there are any additional budget changes to it. And that way we can only have, one more vote on any potential or on the increase rather than have to do it potentially twice.
Yeah, that's fine with Bristol.
Cool.
Once again, the
Yeah,
issue with Bristol is that we're reconstructing, Wolcott Street. Our Board of Public Works has does support installation of sidewalks on Wolcott Street. And then to get full benefit of them, we're putting, I believe it's approximately 400, linear feet of sidewalk on an adjacent street to interconnect to a existing sidewalk network.
yeah, we are very in support of sidewalks. So
And then once again, just moving on, the MTP, issues and project requests.
yeah, so we are in the middle now of working on our update to our long range transportation plan or metropolitan transportation plan. And one of the next pieces we're working on is identifying issues with our transportation system, laying out some goals for the next 27 years, as well as any projects that the cities and towns are working on that you want to have highlighted in our long range plan. And so we just want to open this up for some discussion amongst the TTAC members. Anything that you would like us to have highlighted in there, any goals that you want to see for the region as a whole, we would love to hear about. And certainly if you don't have anything in mind right now, send me an email. We'll be working on this over the course of the next year. So
Any comments or feedback from any committee members or? Then a IIJA update from Mark.
yeah, and just one more quick comment on this here is we'll be looking to schedule some time with each municipality individually to talk about this as well. So, definitely let me know if anything comes to mind, but otherwise we'll have some conversations in the future. All right, go ahead, Mark.
All right, again, just want to do a quick update of the infrastructure bill. Again, it basically reauthorized the FAST Act for 5 years. But again, like I mentioned just earlier, there is a continuing resolution that was passed. So the funding that was in the FAST Act is continued through February 8th. So, a lot of this new money is not available. And until then, and like I said, Congress still needs to meet and authorize and appropriate the full funding that was put in the infrastructure bill. Hopefully they do that, because that way, once they do that, we'll have certainty over the next 5 years of what our federal transportation program will look like, and we can actually start, considering, projects that could be funded under the various programs and that they sort of created. Because again, it was an increase of about, on average, probably about 35%, which, it's a good chunk of change. I list here the 2 new formula programs were created: carbon reduction and what they're referring to as PROTECT, which is promoting resilient operations for transformative, efficient, and cost-saving transportation. What that means, no one really knows yet, but there's a list of types of projects that are eligible under that program. And then the one thing that we're really looking at is the discretionary programs that they sort of created. Because under a number of the discretionary programs, MPOs are direct recipients and eligible to apply directly for funding. So that's something we're keeping a close eye on, because there are some opportunities to do some planning work that might sort of identify some future projects that could be funded. So next slide, Rich. This just sort of gives you an idea of what the increases in funding have been. I want to point out two elements here. Transportation alternatives. Again, that's the program that funds the bike trails, sidewalks, anything non-motorized can be fit under this. That program, as you can see, they increased funding by 71%. It was really the intent of Congress to really increase the funding for these types of projects. The other thing that this did is it changed the eligibility population bands. Typically Congress sort of had, if you're over 200,000, you can do certain things. If you're under 200,000, well, you're still sort of at the mercy of the state DOT. With the TA program, they changed that. So small urban areas, which Waterbury urban area is actually considered a small urban area, is now eligible to select projects directly under the TA program. So it gives us a little bit more ability to select, identify, and build what we want to build. And as I said, it comes with additional money. So that's something we're going to be keeping an eye on and working with DOT to make sure that we can do what we want to do. And the other thing is the metropolitan planning funds increased quite a bit. So that's actually money that's going to come to the COG in terms of the PL, and will allow us to do more planning work. When that's going to be available, that's again open for discussion, but something we're keeping an eye on and trying to think how. I don't want to say what to use the additional planning for, but we maybe have money to do sort of special studies or things like that. So something to keep an eye on. Rich. And again, these are just a couple of quick bullets about some of the policy changes. Again, I mentioned the population bands have changed. And again, the suballocation of the TA. So for the most part, it's definitely a win for the MPOs in the region. So we just have to work with DOT to make sure they come through and suballocate the funds to us and allow us to do what we like to do. All right, that's pretty much it. And like I said, we'll keep you posted on this because a lot of it's still guidance hasn't come out, and even DOT is trying to figure out what it all means. So we'll be keeping you posted.
Can we get a copy of these slides? Can you email them to us?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
And actually, I have a sort of a memo that I'm putting together internally about the infrastructure bill. I got to start calling it the BIL. That's what everybody's starting to call it, which means the bipartisan infrastructure law. Yeah, and not sure if that's going to stick, but that's what Federal Highway or USDOT is using. But anyhow, I put together a summary of the act and how it affects us. So I'll send that. I'll have Rich send that out as well.
Okay.
Yeah, after the meeting, I'll send these slides along with minutes from the meeting and Mark's memo.
Okay.
All right.
Just moving on, the agenda, environmental, Aaron?
Yeah, so I don't know, Aaron, are you still here or did you have to step away already?
Still here. I can give a very, very quick.
Great.
I gotta hop off for another call, but I just wanted to let everyone know that all 19 towns have now adopted the regional hazard mitigation plan. So we've resubmitted it to FEMA for final approval, which we should have within a week. We're expecting it. So once that happens, we'll be printing out hard copies and getting them to your towns. And we'll be posting the final reports on our website as well. So with that final approval, all 19 of our towns will be eligible for Federal Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program funding through FEMA. And I just want to thank all of you who participated and spent time and effort on this effort. It was a long time coming, but we got there, and I'm happy for it. Thank you.
I certainly appreciate everything that, NVCOG's doing for for the towns, especially Bristol. Anybody have any, comments or feedback on this issue? And then emergency management update.
Yeah, good morning. First of all, I just want to remind people that the governor has extended the cold weather protocol to February 2nd. And if you do know people who are trying to find a warming shelter, 211 is the place to go to find that. I also wanted to remind people about this. There was this project submission to FEMA Region 1 this past October. A lot of those culvert projects and projects that were identified in the Natural Hazard Mitigation Plan were submitted through that portal as well. So we got an update from FEMA Region 1 last week. They are currently meeting with the state of Connecticut identified distressed communities that submitted projects. So any project that is touching upon a distressed community, they're first speaking with those groups, and then they're going to be working their way through all the projects. And they will have a reply for all projects that were submitted this coming spring. As far as I know, the timeline is correct for that. As far as Regional Emergency Planning Team 5, there's going to be training for CEOs and EMDs on March 31st, 2022. And this is about the roles in emergency management and cybersecurity for municipal networks. As you know, test kits and PPE the requests are being accepted through Web EOC by noon today. If you work with your emergency management director, if you do need someone for your public works departments, if you need some test kits or PPE, please work with your EMDs on that. The POD distribution, the regional POD distribution for Region 2 is January 20th, tomorrow. And for Region 5 and Region 3 this Friday. And that's all I've got. And I'm open the floor to questions.
I guess one of the comments I have is, certainly in general, obviously, I think it's a good thing that, certainly, municipalities get notified of all the, FEMA grants. The only thing, and just, from my perspective, the one, sometimes it's, I don't even know what the right word is, but, certainly when things get, mailed with, or, emailed with the mitigation grant programs, we always get contacted, like, do we have any projects that participate? And one of the things I always, point out is that it's still driven by cost benefit analysis. In Bristol, at least, when we have tried to do, flood control projects, we don't even come close to coming up, above 1 on a, cost, benefit analysis. Ultimately, most of the time, I'm, able to, explain to councilmen, or the mayor that, and it seems like they understand it. It's just that sometimes it almost comes across like there's a false expectation that if we just work a little harder, we can get above 1. But we have had even consultants, calculate, most aggressively as we can. And honestly, on some of our projects, we can't get like above 0.2, and we're not even close to 1,
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. This particular, this may be true of other FEMA projects, but this FEMA one, this was a call for any and all types of projects.
Yes, and we
So,
listed,
yeah.
but I'm sure like a lot of communities, we listed, projects.
Yeah. And in this particular case, FEMA region, this is the Region 1, that's the 6-state region of the United States. They're first of all looking at equity, and they're looking at this through the lens of equity. And the state of Connecticut helped FEMA. They pointed the direction to what they described as distressed communities. Right now, they're talking with groups in Torrington, Waterbury, Winchester. But you are going to get a response, and you'll have a little bit clearer picture of those types of issues that you're talking about.
Any questions or comments from the group? Then just moving on to municipal shared services, John DeCarlo.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last month, 5 of our municipalities sent representatives, including one CEO, came to a regional composting demonstration in West Haven. We currently have very few tools available to lower costs for municipalities. This is something that's not only on the minds of public works and engineering staff, but obviously your CEOs are very concerned about costs escalating for every town. The model we saw in West Haven last month is an adaptable model for other regions, including our own. There's likely numerous sites in this region that can accommodate the type of facility that's there. Any town that hosts a site like this could bring revenue from tip fees of the organics processed there, as well as from the sale of the topsoil that it produces. Ideally, these sites would be adjacent to existing transfer stations, but there are likely numerous sites in the region that would work as well. So I'll mention, as I mentioned to our CEOs on Friday, that if any of the people on the call would like to learn more, please contact me within the next couple of weeks. If we receive interest from any municipality in hosting a site, we're prepared to seek regional funding from the state to move a project or multiple projects forward in this regard. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions or comments?
John, you have specifications for the site? Any specs beyond?
We do. I have a memo I can share with you, Sheila, that was sent to the
Okay.
CEOs that kind of outlines it a little bit.
Okay,
And we have talked to Mike DeLessio about it. He's interested. He's not sure that there's something in Ansonia that would work, but he definitely
there might
showed
be.
interest in it. So I will share that with you as well and be happy to follow up.
thanks. I didn't, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just a quick comment on it. Before moving back to Connecticut, I lived down in Arlington, Virginia, who had a drop-off program, not a curbside program. And the amount of waste that they saved from the waste stream was incredible. They filled, I don't know, 4 curbside bins basically every day.
Thanks, Rich. Our staff and the
Yeah.
municipal staff who were there that day were certainly impressed with how much they could process there and the numerous things that municipalities are concerned about, such as odors coming from it and animals getting involved in it, were answered that day. In this composting facility, and they can certainly process a lot of compost in a small amount of space with one of these operations. So I'm happy to talk with anybody interested after the call. Send me an email, give me a call. I'm happy to discuss it further.
You say small space, but I thought when we were talking, you were looking for a 5-acre lot.
No, 2 acres.
And then somewhat off topic, off of composting, just under shared services, a challenging that Bristol's having, and I don't know if the other municipalities are having it, but we typically piggyback state VIP bids for our paving program, and one component of our roadway program is to reclaim. So we piggyback traditionally off of state bids to reclaim roads. Problem is, the last time the DOT went out to bid, they didn't include reclamation, since in all fairness to the state is their bid, and they said they weren't going to reclaim roads. But that kind of severed our ability to procure the services of state contractors to reclaim roads. Like for example, we reconstructed roads last year. We did like $1 million worth of work. The actual reclamation component, was only down to 70,000. But because of Bristol's purchasing requirements, I have a problem procuring those services. I guess I wanted to just, if anybody had any feedback experience, based on what other towns are doing, and if there is any kind of regional bid through NVCOG to reclaim.
We'd certainly be open to doing a regional bid if there's interest, Ray, and put something out to the towns and see if there's interest in this. Also, I can check with Capital Region Purchasing Council, because they may be doing something and our towns can participate in that. They may be doing something in that regard. So happy to follow up with you afterwards.
Okay. Once again, I don't think it's a Bristol issue because it's really created because the state didn't include, reclamation bid items in the VIP bid. Any comments from any members? So item 6, TTAC leadership nominations, which I don't know how you want to.
Yeah, so, I'm thinking we only have 7 out of the 19 municipalities represented today. And so I'm thinking probably best to, we can discuss briefly and then hold an actual vote in the March meeting. But for the members who are on today, both Ray and Sheila have expressed interest in staying in their current roles. Ray is chair and Sheila is vice chair. We do not have a formal set of bylaws that we have to follow for election of officers, since the TTAC is a kind of a voluntary committee for NVCOG. And so there's nothing and so as a result, we can hold election for officers however we'd like. And so, when we come to it next week, I think the easiest option is going to be we'll just kind of vote on the approval of extending those positions for 2 years. But of course, we're open to comments from anybody on the call today, and we can discuss next week, hopefully, or next at the next meeting in March. Yeah, not next week.
Yeah.
At the next meeting with hopefully a larger representation. But if there's no comments, Ray and Sheila, thank you both for your work so far and for offering to stay on, and we'll circle back in the beginning of March.
Thanks, Rich.
Any other items to come before TTAC?
Yeah, one thing I want to mention just briefly, kind of to address how we got to today's meeting. I'm thinking we should kind of formalize what postponing or canceling a TTAC meeting looks like. And so my thought would be similar to how NVCOG handles other meetings. If 2 school districts within the region have either delays or cancellations, that triggers a postponement of the TTAC meeting for 2 weeks. And that way everybody, we'll still send out communication about it, but everybody knows when the meetings will get delayed and when the reschedule would happen. That just, helps to take some of the guesswork out of it. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good policy if that's what's being, conducted in the other, meetings. At least it gives staff some direction.
Yeah, exactly. And we figure if there's delays in schools, it's, then our public works departments are otherwise tied up. And so last thing we want to do is pull people away from that kind of work.
I guess under best practices discussion, in particular of why that meeting got postponed, wasn't it when that ice storm hit on the 4th?
Yeah.
And again, just maybe some feedback from other communities, what they do with respect to pre-treatment. For Bristol, we pre-treat, we have liquid mag. We're not running, salt brine. I just want to know if any other communities are running salt brine, and if so, what's their experience on it?
Right, I don't know. I mean, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Not for Southbury. We were just using the plain salt that morning. And
Oh.
luckily, we got in about 5:45. It was a matter of about 15 minutes when everything froze up.
Yeah. Shirley, you were going to say something?
Yeah, no, we're using salt. Ray, have you had any better luck, or you just?
No, we use liquid mag.
Mag.
We use
Yeah.
liquid mag. Honestly, it's effective, but since it's cost,
It's very costly.
we our like threshold to do it is much higher. I'm talking about the staff looking into using salt brine only because it's, the application, is, has a low cost point, and quite
Right.
frankly, the decision to do it, was quicker. And I, quite frankly, talking to some of the towns, not necessarily in VCOG, they really incorporate it into like their normal, work, day, and
Right.
can apply it during the day for night, for night. So it's not
Me
even like,
too.
and so that's something we'll look at. I mean, even in particular, on that day, it happened to be cold temperatures. So honestly, you couldn't have put salt down, salt brine down the day before. But certainly, we're looking to add it to our toolbox to to use, that what we can put in, we can apply it during the day, and at least it's there during night to help.
Right. Yep. that's what we
Cheshire,
do.
Cheshire uses a salt brine as a pre-treatment during regular storms. We wouldn't necessarily, in the case of this last storm, have applied it because of the anticipation for rain. We really only apply it on select locations, the hills and bridges and overpasses and such of that nature, just because of the ability to generate enough volume of the brine in advance. Storage is another thing to consider, and having a more than one vehicle set up with the brine application equipment.
So Cheshire does have a setup right now.
Correct.
Maybe we'll give you a call offline and come visit you.
Yeah, sure. Set something up at the highway garage there.
Thanks.
Certainly do that, Ray.
Any other comments or any feedback? If there's no other business to come before the committee, a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion. Second.
Motion and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 Thanks for your participation.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you.
everybody. We appreciate your you coming in today, and we'll see you in March.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.